Good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to IPF exclusive webinars. This is Rakesh Rao, Executive Editor of Industrial Product Finder magazine, welcoming you on behalf of ASAP Info Global Group for the second edition of IPF Buyer Seller Summit. Before we start the proceedings for today, let me share a few vital information about Industrial Product Finder. Industrial Product Finder is published by ASAP Info Global Group, known widely for publishing a range of publications in the field of construction and engineering space. Magazines like Construction World, Equipment India, Indian Cement Review, etc. Launched in 1972, Industrial Product Finder is today one of the oldest and the most trusted brands for advertisers in the industrial publication space. IPF is an important media link in purchase chain, purchase cycle, and companies big or small rely heavily on the magazine for information pertaining to product and technologies. Over the years, advertisers' faith in IPF has increased, which has motivated us to innovate in terms of editorial content and delivery platforms like print, online, awards, virtual shows, videos, etc. Companies consider IPF as an ideal platform to share information about their products and services, as the publication is circulated to a wide range of manufacturing sectors, which includes automobile, auto components, electrical electronics, machine tools, hydraulics and pneumatics, mining and steel, among others. And every month, IPF reaches to around 60,000 readers through its magazines and website, that is ipfonline.com, which is an assortment of news, views, interviews, well-researched articles, product information. As part of the extension program to connect better with its readers, IPF also annually hosts IPF Industrial Excellence Awards, the only event which recognizes the innovative products in a wide range of categories. And taking the innovation quotient up, IPF has now started industrial news on WhatsApp, that is called as iNow, for readers who wants to be updated on the move. It is very easy to subscribe iNow. Just give a missed call on the numbers which is displayed on your screen, that is 84228 74016, and save the number to continue receive updates. Coming to today's agenda of the Buyer Seller Summit, with India aiming to increase contribution of manufacturing to GDP from 16 to 17%, from 16 to 70% to 25%. The government of India has initiated Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan and is also offering a lot of incentives to Indian as well as global companies for stepping up manufacturing activity in the country. However, the goal of making India a manufacturing hub cannot be achieved without the support of tier 2 and tier 3 suppliers, who are very critical to fulfill the needs of tier 1 suppliers and the OEMs. Against this background, Industrial Product Finder is hosting the Buyer Seller Summit, a knowledge sharing platform aimed at equipping India's manufacturing sector to manufacturers to understand the market requirements and upgrade themselves to increase the indigenous production. We are happy today to have Mr. Sanjeev Chawla, Director, Office of Development Commissioner, MSME, under the Ministry of MSME, as a special guest. In addition, we have, for today's webinar, we have following eminent personalities who will share their views in the due course of time. First, we have Ms. Shobha Pattabhiraman, the GM, Corporate Materials NTPC Limited. Mr. Srinivas Shirupa, Head SME L&T Power, Supply Chain Management, L&T Power. Mr. V. Kishore, Deputy GM, Rashtriya Ispat Nigam, popularly known as Vizag Steel. Then we have Ms. Neelam Pathak, Director Sourcing and Analytics, Nordex. So let me call upon our first speaker, that is the guest speaker, Mr. Sanjeev Chawla. Before he begins, let me share a few words on the office that he represents. Established in 1954, Office of DC, that is Development Commissioner MSME, under the Ministry of MSME has seen its role evolve into an agency for advocacy, hand-holding, and facilitation for micro, small, and medium enterprises. It provides economic information, services, and advises government in policy formulation for promotion and development of MSME. I would now request our guest for today's webinar, Mr. Sanjeev Chawla, to address the audience and highlight how the Office of Development Commissioner MSME is playing a role to catalyze the growth of MSME sector. Over to you, Mr. Chawla. Mr. Chawla.
Thank you, Mr. Rao. I'm happy to be here. It's a great opportunity to talk to you and the entrepreneurs through this medium. And again, I see cross section of private PSU and PSUs. So this is a great combination of buyers here, that we have RNL and NTPC and then private sector, and and if we talk of procurement from large corporations from PSUs, and if we take into consideration of government purchase only, the purchase is in the realm of 5 lakh crore, or maybe it's more if we consider all PSUs, government departments, state government departments, state PSUs. It's a huge procurement, and it's a huge opportunity. Government is the biggest purchaser of commodities and inputs, and the government is the biggest producer of information as well. So a lot of MSMEs and industries can become capable, can develop the facilities to supply the products to these big companies. And then equally, private sector has equal opportunity to supply these goods and to do the procurement. World over, the countries have used the procurement, government procurement, as a means for equitable development of MSMEs. So there are policies and programs in almost all the countries. So the Ministry of MSME, Office of the Development Commissioner, has also brought out policies and programs. So the one important policy which I will discuss first is a public procurement policy for MSEs, micro and small enterprises. So here we are not covering medium, because medium are capable anyway. So according to this policy, which was published in 2012, all the CPSEs, central public sector enterprises, and government departments, central government departments, have to procure 25% of their annual requirement from micro and small enterprises. So this is a huge target, and most of the PSUs are trying to achieve this. And out of this 25%, 20% subset is to be procured from SC/ST entrepreneurs. And we face a lot of challenge here, that we always promote SC/ST entrepreneurs, but sometimes we find it difficult to fulfill this target. And now with the latest improvement in this policy, we have a stipulation of 3% procurement from women entrepreneurs. Here, the women entrepreneurs enterprises means having their share more than 51% in the firm. So there are stipulations, and this policy is giving a lot of stimulus to MSEs, and this policy is applicable right for CPSCs, central government departments and ministries. Defense is not included in this, but we have written to all state governments also to follow this policy, and some state governments have notified this policy for their MSMEs. And if we talk of defense as a great sector these days, so whatever our procurement takes place, there is a 30% defense offset policy. Means the firms which supply such equipment to India have to manufacture 30% here or procure 30% here from MSMEs, from the industry local. And if they buy it from MSME, they get a weightage of 1.5%, 1.5 times. So government has given sufficient stimulus that these Indian firms are promoted for supplying their products. Then the firms which are covered under this policy, they are getting their tenders free of cost, and there is an exemption of earnest money. You know, locking of earnest money is a very big issue for micro and small enterprises. So if the company is registered under with MSME department as MSE, so they get their tenders free of cost. There are 358 items which are reserved for exclusive procurement from MSEs. So, and another benefit which is given to MSEs, that if they participate in the tender and they are not L1, but their bidding price is between the range of L1 plus 15%, then they are given a chance to come to L1, and 20% of the order can be given to those. There are some clarifications also, you know, how we can split the orders and all that. So that can be taken up as MSEs approach our department. So I like to tell that our ministry has set up 66 champion desks. These are the various departments across the country where the MSEs or MSMEs rather can approach and get clarifications on these procurement policies or any support, whatever they need on this. And recently, during COVID months even, government has issued one order that global tenders cannot be issued for procurement less than 200 crore rupees. So this is also one step in the direction of promoting the local industry. Now we come to, you know, the issue of buyer-seller meet today. The biggest problem which is noticed, that it is information asymmetry. We know that large corporations, private sector, they want to procure locally, and because then the supply chain gets more streamlined, and then they can get competitive prices also, they can have more control on the quality, they can get the customized production. So there are so many benefits if the large companies and private sector procures from local MSEs. But the problem is of information asymmetry. What do they need? What they want to buy? What are the specifications? What are the timelines? What is the registration process? And how we can approve the vendors? You know, if I talk of a very small vendor, and then we put them under a very tedious vendor registration and vendor approval process, so he gets disheartened. So if we support the local industry in such a way that we guide them through the registration process, we guide them through approval process, so they will come up. So Ministry of Defense has a scheme called Technology Development Fund, wherein they give rupees 10 crore up to rupees 10 crore for development of new systems under their indigenization program. So there also I have also always suggested that we should provide them the basic blueprints of the products, some drawings, some specifications, some time schedules. So what is the issue here is that our MSMEs need little hand holding from large companies. We can develop the base, and the companies who have come here, wind power turbine manufacturing company or the NTPC, which are running their plants 24 hours and across the year. So they have two sets of requirements, I understand. One is the general services which can be supplied by any vendor, which are of less importance as far as quality is concerned. But there would be some products which are like pumps are there, or valves are there, or some components which are used in controlling the process. Some electronics control valves are there. So these things are of very high quality, and if we want to promote local companies here, then we need to provide them guidance. We have to provide them some support. So I would request the PSUs, the CPSUs to have, or the large companies to have, one nodal officer, and who guides the MSMEs, the suppliers, and who does the hand holding. They do not need any special concession. They need some guidance, they need some support, they need some hand holding. And if we are and sometimes small entrepreneurs are not able to reach the proper person in the organization. Even some companies, they cannot even enter. So there must be a nodal person appointed for such companies. This will help. This is a win-win situation. Win-win situation means it will help the MSMEs to supply the product, and it will help the large company, the buyer, also to develop their broad base, their vendor development group. And another development which has taken in the last few months is that there is a platform called TREADS, which is for trade receivables. So when small vendors are supplying their products to large companies, so they are expecting the payments to be released as fast as possible. But sometimes the payments are not received even in 3 months, 4 months. The government has introduced an electronic platform which is called TREADS. It's a trade receivable exchange, wherein the MSMEs get them registered, and the large companies also register. And on that, then after registration, the invoices of the supplies are uploaded, and then there are banks who participate, and they do bidding process, and they procure that invoice at some discount. And after the discount rate is accepted by the MSME, the payment is released within 48 hours. So this is a great platform, and I have here large companies like RINL is there, then NTPC is there, then private sector is there, and Industrial Product Finder is in touch with so many companies. So we need to popularize this TREADS platform as well, so that we have more buyer-seller relationships improve. So the whole purpose of today's meeting is that we come closer to the seller. The buyers come closer to the seller comes closer to the buyer. They understand the requirements of each other, and then they next thing which government has done is the government e-marketplace, which is now a great success. A lot of units are registering, and for government departments it is almost necessary to procure everything from GEM, and if it is not available on GEM, then they can go for open tendering. So we need to tell our entrepreneurs that how do they register on GEM. So there should be a clarity to the entrepreneurs. And one thing more I would like to mention here, that after government has introduced new registration process, which will be mandatory after 31st of March. And there's a window, then it started on 1st July 2020, and we have a window of 9 months. So all your vendors should register on Udyam registration as well, so that they are able to take benefits of the schemes. And if they become competitive, and they will be able to supply good quality product to you and at reasonable prices. So this is what I want to say. I think I am given only this much time, and our champion centers are there. And if you feel there is any problem, we have field offices. The units can approach there, and the large companies can also approach us. The only thing is that we need to create a great ecosystem. And one thing I'd like to mention here, that our ministry has now set up ministerial task force, and one task force is on industry 4.0. So industry 4.0 means that units get digitized, they use internet of things, they use better tools of predictive maintenance and all that. So the large companies will have a great role in that, in promoting such technologies in their companies, so that the companies can integrate them with them in a better way. So we shall provide more details on Industry 4.0 when the scheme is implemented. But government is trying to help the MSMEs and enabling the ecosystem in this direction also. So I'm thankful to Industrial Product Finder for giving me this opportunity, and I wish that today's discussions will be beneficial to the vendors. They will come to know all the critical details of vendor registration, vendor approval, what are the requirements, how they can supply, what are the payment terms. So such things will be clarified today, and MSMEs and as well as our vendors and large companies will benefit from this interaction. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chawla, for letting our audience know the various steps taken by the government for helping MSME to grow. Before we actually move on to our next speaker, there is one question with regards to Udyam registration. You said that March 2021 is the last day of registration. So is it mandatory for all the MSMEs who wants to be a part of procurement process of PSUs to be registered on Udyam registration?
This registration is totally voluntary. But if the units want to take any benefit from government, any loans or any subsidy or anything, even if they are undergoing some tendering process and all that, they need to register. How they will prove that they are MSME? And now there are basic changes have been made. Now our classification or definition is on the basis of two criteria. One is turnover, and second is investment in plant and machinery. So it has become totally different than what it was a few months back. So they need to re-register if they want to take benefits.
Thanks, Mr. Chawla, for your enlightening words, and we hope to meet you again on a similar platform. So with this, we move on to our...
Can I log out now, or what do you want from me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chawla. So we will move on to our next speaker from NTPC. NTPC established in 1975 to accelerate power development in the country, is today the country's largest energy conglomerate. With a total installed capacity of 62.9 gigawatts, NTPC group has around 70 power stations. Group has over 20 GW of power capacity under construction. To elaborate more on NTPC and how it is helping local suppliers to boost indigenization, we have with us Ms. Shobha Pattabhiraman, GM Corporate Materials, NTPC Limited. Ms. Shobha, you can start your presentation.
Yes. Good evening, all. Mr. Rakesh Rao, Executive Director of IBP, other speakers of today's forum, and all the enterprises who are participating in this webinar. It is indeed, it gives me a great pleasure and it's a privilege for me to represent NTPC in this forum, and I thank IBP for giving us this opportunity. Then can we go to the slide, sir? Now, NTPC, as Mr. Rakesh Rao told, is a Maharatna PSU, which is engaged in the business of generating electricity and allied activities. It is the largest power company in India with an electric power generating capacity of around 62,000 plus megawatt. With 16% of the total national capacity, NTPC contributes for 25% of the total power generation. And it is because of, by way of its focus on operating the plants at high efficiency levels. NTPC is operating from 70 locations, as Mr. Rao told, of which we have a mix of power stations owned by NTPC and by its JV and subsidiaries. And the power generation is through coal, gas, and renewables like solar, wind, and hydro. NTPC's long-term plan is to become a 130 gigawatt power company by 2032. In 2032, NTPC wants to have a share of 30%, that is 39 megawatt through renewable energy sources like hydro, solar, wind, nuclear, etc. And in this line, NTPC recently has formed a wholly owned subsidiary in the name of NTPC Renewable Energy Limited to take care of the solar energy generation of NTPC. Next slide, sir. So this gives you the overall energy capacity of NTPC, how it is shared, the coal, gas, hydro, solar, and what is owned by NTPC and by their JVs and subsidiaries. Next slide, please. This is our capacity addition path. That is, we want to become 130 gigawatt by 2032. Next slide. So now you can see NTPC, as Mr. Rao told, NTPC is a power generator, which is a very essential service. It comes under, we generate power 24/7, all the 365 days. And so our objective for the procurement is I procure the right quality at the right quantity, and it should reach us at the right time and at the right price, because our power which we generate has to be economical, and of late which we are giving has to be economical. This is our objective, and this is what we expect from our suppliers also, that they supply us the right quality material at the right time. And this is our, in short, our tendering activities. There is a pre-tendering activity where planning, budgeting, and approvals and mode of tendering, vendor selection happens. Then I go to the tendering. Our tendering methods are through open tender, where advertisement is given with the qualifying requirements. And limited tender is where I know a source of vendors and I direct my inquiries only to that source of vendors. Another is single tender, which comes for the OEM and OES case, the equipments with spares which are to be bought from the original equipment manufacturer alone. Then the tender is evaluated and we award on the technically acceptable, commercially lowest bidder. And then post-award is expediting the supply of goods and payment, contract closure, etc. This is the various activities involved in the procurement for NTPC supply chain. Sourcing and vendor selection, as it's told, is we evaluate them based on their technical competence, their financial strength, which do through their annual turnover, net worth in case of high value items. And also we follow the general government guidelines where MSCs, local suppliers, startups, and spare part development. These government guidelines are also taken into consideration when we do the sourcing of the tender. Next. So suppliers category is broadly, one is the OEM OES, where I have to buy some critical spares like which go into my turbine or the other major engineered products. Next is a so standardized, like for the bearings, electrodes, and those type of items, I standardize the manufacturers. And second, we have a category of enlisted vendors. As Mr. Chawla told, as many of the items required by NTPC, the spares will be of very critical in nature, because the malfunctioning, or if they are not functioning well, it may directly affect my generation and also the safety of my running plant. So when for those items, we have a dedicated central procurement cell who specify the qualifying requirements, and we enlist our vendors for these type of items, and services also. Services which consist of my maintenance activities related to the plants, various system of the plants, and others where tenders we follow this policy, MSE, Make in India, and other things. These are other type of tenders. Next. So this is the central procurement cell which we're talking. Here we have material enlistment groups, contract enlistment groups. We enter into rate contracts for items, and there are source standardizations. This cell is located centrally at a place, and they do this enlistment, and they enter into rate contracts, and they also do the source standardization for the various items. Next. Coming to the Atmanirbhar activities, we follow what is given by the government, that is local suppliers. They are divided into up to a tender value of 50 lakhs. The suppliers who meet the local content is only considered for tender evaluation and order placement. Above 50 lakhs, the price preference as levied by the government guidelines is given to those vendors who meet the local content, and if they come within a bracket of the L1, then they are negotiated, and if they match the rate with the L1 bidder, then purchase preference is given to them. Up to these are the various initiatives which government has introduced towards Atmanirbhar, or the local supplies. This is being followed by NTPC also. Next. So we are into that in a phased manner. NTPC is introduced bulk tendering, and now we are promoting the MSME vendors, and we support vendors and contractors in this one to improve their cash flow, which severely affected due to the lockdown and ongoing pandemic scenario. Apart from turbine, generator, and boiler components, we are in the process of developing manufacturing units here with us required by the government, which are not being currently manufactured in India. Next. So for local sourcing, we have a spares development policy. We adhere to the Make in India compliance. We have purchase preference to MSEs as per the guidelines given, and we have guidelines for startups, and we have an R&R policy when my plant is in the construction stage. We have identified certain jobs which will be given to the group of families which are displaced because of the power generation to land, from whom we have acquisitioned the land. Next. And with reference to compliance of this MSME orders and MSME policy, NTPC has been consistently, we have exceeded the minimum threshold. Against a threshold of 25%, which the PSUs have to meet, we have currently achieved 49.44%. And we are extending all the benefits which as per the policy is to be extended to the MSC vendors. In fact, for the cases where they cannot be split, we are giving 100% of the tendered quantity to the MSME vendor who comes within the bracket of L1 plus 15% and is ready to meet the L1 rates. And we host our annual procurement plan, which is around 3,600 crores for the various materials and services, which is in the CPSC portal. At the beginning of the year, we are displaying item-wise and service-wise list of the procurement which NTPC is planning to do in the coming financial year. This we are uploading at the beginning of the year in the CPSC portal. And we also conduct various vendor development programs for the MSC vendors and special vendor development programs for the SC, ST and the women entrepreneurs. And apart from this, we also conduct vendor programs for other vendors in general. Periodically, NTPC conducts various vendor development programs. This is what we do towards public procurement policy adherence. Next. The various procurement modes in NTPC, as I told you, are from enlisted vendors we procure, and list of goods which is offered are available. We have a separate vendor portal for enlistment of these vendors. For the material groups as well as the service groups, we have rate contracts, and the items and services which are not enlisted through this enlistment group is procured as through our shared service centers. We have around 8 to 9 shared service center. One is for the coal mining, and the other shared services caters to, it is located in the regions. We have southern region, northern region, WR1, WR2, ER1, ER2. So these the plants, around needs of 4 to 5 plants under that region. The procurement need is catered by this group, central service group. Initially, NTPC was procuring the various items through the individual plants. Then we thought we can consolidate. There can be streamlining of the various activities, and for consolidation, we had a group formed this SSC in the year 2018, and since then, the procurement for the plants is done through this shared service centers. For the items which is not enlisted and for which rate contract is not placed through the central cell, procurement is done through this shared service centers. Next. Whereas to the main project procurement is done from our corporate center. This is for the package EPC contractor through we do it. NTPC, in that we have a procedure to approve the sub vendor for the EPC packages. This they have to approach, the main package contractor has to approach our QA and EIC, through which the sub vendor is getting approved for the materials which are required under the project procurement. Next. Shared service centers, which I told you, it is done by the various SSCs. These are for the non-enlisted items. Next. Now we have a spare parts development. As I told you, all my plants which are supplied by the certain OEM and OES, we do many times the spare parts development for these OEM OES products, and sometimes if they are imported or origin, we try to indigenize those spare parts here in India. These are the various areas in which we look for a development of the spares, which the manufacturer has discontinued, or there is no response from the original manufacturer, and of indigenous proprietary origin, but I'm regularly continuously procuring it from an OEM and OES. So when I want to find an alternate source for this to develop, so that I can have a competition and a more economical pricing for those spares also, for those type of items, we go into the spare parts development. We have a separate spare part policy, and every plant has a department, a spare parts department, where they identify these parts, they develop the drawing, they do the reverse engineering, and we try to get the specifications, and then we try to develop vendors for these spare parts. Next. So how do we identify the vendors? With the help of the press, internet advertisements, manufacturers, trade, directories, and other project past experience. So all are given equal opportunity. Introductory letters received from the vendors, advertisements. Through this and information which is obtained from the Director of General Technical Development regarding, through this we try to identify the vendors who can develop the spare parts as per our requirement. Next. This spare parts development, it requires continuous efforts, because first I have to identify the spare, I have to identify the vendor. First we will give them a trial order. Based on the success of the trial order, I will also enlist such vendors who have successful in developing the items. We will assess the performance, and we will start buying the spare parts, develop spare parts from them in future for our future use. Next. And NTPC largely believes in digitization of its various processes. These are the various processes which NTPC has digitized recently. We have a vendor payment portal where NTPC has made digital submission of invoices mandatory. Today, as on date, around 90% of the invoices which are being submitted by the vendors are in the digital form. This has helped the vendors to a large extent during the pandemic COVID, where they could, sitting at their place, they could upload the invoice and the payment. It was a very transparent system where they can see the status of their invoice at every stage. And so that for the management also, it becomes a tool for monitoring the payment at various stages. And this could help timely release of payment to the vendors. And we have developed a vendor help desk, especially for the MSC vendors, where the MSCs can log in and their grievances, it can be topic wise, like whether the grievances towards payment, tendering, or any other problem. In that way, we have got a vendor desk, and we have appointed nodal officers for these who do have to reply to these grievances within a limited time. Yes, there are methods of escalating the grievance which is not unanswered to the next level, so that all these grievances are answered at a given time. Vendor enlistment portal is, as I told, we have a centralized vendor enlistment portal where the vendor can upload their documents, the qualifying requirements required and the need of the documents item wise is displayed there. Based on that, the vendor has to upload their documents, which will be evaluated periodically, and the vendor will be enlisted. This enlistment portal is open 24/7, all the 365 days. In this portal, once a vendor who is enlisted can also update their credentials. In the sense, today, if they are enlisted for certain value of order and certain value is the turnover, and if they want to update based on further orders, further increase in the turnover, that also happen in this. We have a e-office modules, and NTPC, one big thing that NTPC has done is we have moved into a completely paperless organization. All our files, note sheets, it is all through, we have got a Pradeep system we call, it is all through that system, and we have literally done away with the paper, which this has helped us heavily during the COVID situation where people could work from home, and at the same time all the proposals, all the files were cleared online. This NTPC moved into this Pradeep or the paperless system a year back, since 2018. Through which we are also into digitization of our earlier files, so that these documents, if required as a part of the Pradeep system, where for my movement of the current file, any reference of the old file is required, we have also digitized our old documents for availability in the Pradeep platform. Our contract closing system also has become online through the Pradeep module. Next. This is Project Pradeep, which I was talking, proactive and digital initiative to become paperless. This has been rolled out in all the 70 locations. Around 175 plus processes have been introduced through this. There is a 24/7 support, all the office notes, all the approvals, right up to the director and the CMD level happens through this Pradeep online only. It has increased the speed, efficiency, as well as brought in a lot of transparency as to where the file is there, where is it moving, and all that. And we have, there are a lot of collaboration fields also. Next. This is our vendor payment portal, which I was speaking, through which the vendor can submit their invoices. They can log in with the vendor code and through an OTP system, and through this they can know the status of their payment also. Next. It is a NTPC vendor portal where they can get themselves enlisted. Here we have a portal exclusively for the 358 items, which are exclusively given for the MSME vendors. So the MSME vendors who are dealing in these 358 items out of which are the items required by NTPC, they can register themselves through this portal for the items which exclusively are to be tendered among the MSE vendors. Next. This is the e-help NTPC help desk which we were talking to all the MSE vendors, where the grievance system where they can log in and submit their grievances, which will be answered by some nodal officers, and action will be taken against those grievances. Next. This is the online PAN NTPC enlistment portal, which I already told. Currently, we have got around 1,527 unique vendors who have enlisted themselves for around MEG groups and CEG groups. And contract enlistment, for contracts, it is 925 contractors who have enlisted themselves. Here, they have to submit their order copies as well as a turnover. And based on this, their annual turnover and EC, our system, they will be enlisted. So depending on the requirement, the estimate, the system will automatically select the vendors who are meeting those requirements, and tender inquiry will be sent to them. So this is a continuous, this portal has been developed in-house at NTPC, and this is available all the 24/7 and 365 days, where the vendor can enlist themselves and also upgrade themselves, their credentials. Next, this is the link. This I told for the 358 reserved items, which is reserved for the MSCs also, we have got a separate database where the MSME vendor can register themselves. Then all the whatever credentials they have submitted, based on that, tender inquiries will be sent to them for the items which are exclusively reserved for the MSCs. Next. This is the various grievance topics for which the MSC can put their grievances against. Next. So, as Mr. Chawla was telling, in order to strengthen the MSC ecosystem, we have formed a separate MSME cell at the NTPC corporate level. So this cell acts as a bridge between the various buyers of NTPC and the MSMEs, as a like hand-holding and to help them get into business with NTPC. We have a online portal. We are into threads, as Mr. Chawla was telling. The MSME help desk, functioning of the shared services, NTPC payment portal, and we have also onboarded on GEM. We have, which is a mandate now, NTPC has onboarded on GEM, and we are procuring extensively through GEM. Apart from the items which are already available in GEM, NTPC has started adding many of their engineered goods also to GEM, so that the procurement base can be through GEM can be increased, as well as the value through GEM has been enhanced. So we have made it mandatory for our enlisted vendors also to register themselves on GEM. Next. MSME, because of these initiatives, our MSME procurement is as we tell, we are continuously, we are the highest procurement percentage among the all Maharatna CPSUs, and we have also onboarded on all trades platforms. Next. So till August 20, our percentage is 49.44, which is highest among all the PSUs. Next. Next. We are the top among the CPSUs. Next. And our count of MSME vendors also is increasing over the years. Starting from 2045, it has reached 5,596 MSC vendors among our vendors until August 2020. Next. Next. We conduct various vendor development programs to the vendors. wherein we try to give them what is our requirement. We try to understand their issues, which NTPC should address, like what are the issues that they are facing. And here we also once in a year we conduct it as a national level, where these vendors are given a chance to put their stalls if they have come up with new items, and wherein NTPC also displays the items for which I need a development, I need some vendors where we are not finding the vendors, for which I want to develop alternate sources. Those items are displayed in this. This year also we wanted to conduct it somewhere in March, but because of the pandemic, otherwise every year we conduct a national level vendor development program. Next. These are the some of the glimpses of the vendor meet. Next. Trades, I have already told you, we are on the all the three platforms of trades, that is RxIL, Invoice Mart, and M1 Exchange. Next. As I told you, during the COVID also, when none of our activities stopped, even NTPC's plants were generating to their full strength. Here in this COVID only, we started the digital invoicing for the vendors. Currently, around 90% of all our payment invoices are received through the digital mode. Next. GEM, we are already through GEM, and we are also now moving into a payment mode of GEM pool account. That is, I will be making the payment through in the GEM portal, wherein the timelines given by GEM, that is, the payment is to be released within 10 days of acceptance of the material, and the material is to be accepted within 10 days of receipt. All these are ensured through this GEM pool account mode. And this is all we want to say about NTPC, and thank you.
Hello. Thank you, Ms. Shobha, for your presentation. It was really an informative presentation. We will move on to quickly our next panelist from L&T Power. L&T Power has, has a capability spectrum that covers coal, gas, nuclear, and renewable power projects. It also provides an integrated concept to commissioning solution for thermal power plants and turnkey solutions for gas-based power plants. I would now request Mr. Srinivas Sirupa, Head of Supply Chain Management, L&T Power, to give us his presentation.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity to share all about L&T Power and what we do in L&T Power and the procurement engagement that we have with our partners. And it was really nice listening to Ms. Chawla and Mrs. Shobha for whatever presentations they gave. And this is a good platform to actually know something more about other organizations, as well as look back as to what we can do as to improve. So next slide, please. So my presentation outline would be going through all these aspects of our what I want to communicate today. So I'll start with the Power IC overview, what we are all about. Next slide. So L&T is organized into multiple verticals, what we call as ICs, which are called independent companies. Actually, it is not an independent company. It's a vertical domain related to the area of operations that we are into. Like we are into power, there is hydrocarbon, there is heavy engineering, there is construction, there is different verticals are there. So each one is called an IC. So we are into Power IC. We focus specifically onto fossil fuel-based power plants on EPC basis, and we provide turnkey solutions. Particularly, we are into coal-based power plants, but only the supercritical technology with capacities of 660 and above, and gas-based power plants, which is with an HRSG, which comes from CMI Belgium as a technology partner. We also do the nuclear power projects, basically the balance of turbine island and the balance of plant areas that are there. Now that there is this environmental requirements, please go back, which has to be done. FGDs, that is, look at these urbanization projects are in a large manner that are being ordered. So we are having a tie with Chiyoda, Japan for FGD projects, and we are getting a lot of orders into that. We are comprising basically of 4 joint ventures, 2 technology tie-ups, 4 manufacturing facilities. We have a training institute and a lot of support functions as an organization in L&T Power. So MHPS, that is Mitsubishi, is our partner for the supercritical boiler and steam turbine generators. We have factories at Hazira for the boiler manufacturing, about 4,000 to 5,000 megawatts per year. And for the steam turbine generator, also the similar capacity, which is also in Hazira. And then large size fans from L&T Howden, that is also in Hazira. The total capacity of the project that we have commissioned till date is about 13,280 megawatts in the last 10 years or so, which is about 20 units of coal-based and as well as gas-based power plants. And gas-based is 2,500. This is 20 units is coal. And the projects that we are under construction are 3,300 megawatts of coal, 400 megawatts of gas, and 9 projects of FGD, which are constituting about 22 chimneys. We have a strength of about 4,000 people, including our manufacturing setup in Hazira, and the site labor mobilization is around 20,000 people currently. Next slide, please. As an organization in L&T Power, I head the supply chain function, procurement function. We are divided into 2 parts. One is the central team, which takes care of the central category items, which are basically services and materials related to civil, mechanical, electrical, bulks, and also the logistics, which is centralized here, including the import and export. And we have project-specific procurement teams, which are under the project director, but they again route through me. So all the engineer packages and site bid procurements are being done through the specific embedded persons who are there in the project teams. So this is how we are organized as an organization for supply chain. Next. The process that we follow in L&T Power for selecting a vendor to the point that we raise an order and then evaluate a partner is this, that we have an RFQ which comes from our engineering or the project team, and then we have a criteria for selection of vendors. And once we select the vendors, we get into the technical evaluation. I think there are links which are missing from this. 1 minute. Yeah, it is there. We do the technical evaluation, and then we get the offers. After the technical evaluation is done, and those people who are technically qualified, we only get into the commercial offers, and then those commercial offers are negotiated through direct negotiations and or through seal bids or through reverse auction. These are the processes that we have. We go through the platform of Ariba, that is SAB's platform, and once the evaluation is done, then we have an online system for management approval and for the approval system that is there, which is completely paperless, as what was being shown in NTPC's presentation, which we have gone live since 2016. Later on, we have the vendor onboarding based on whoever is the selected vendor. If you can just click on that link of vendor onboarding process. So we have what is known as the supply relationship management, which is the part of the vendor onboarding process, which consists of vendor profiling, vendor segmentation, vendor registration, and vendor evaluation, which constitutes profiling is nothing but all the partners that we engage with. We try to see as to which products that they are engaging with us, and is there any rationalization that we can do when we have to either select a product or when we have to select a supplier. So we know as to who are the partners whom when we are looking for a product, who are the partners who we should look for. And if we want a supplier, then we know which are the products that he can engage with us. So that is vendor profiling. Segmentation is more from a pre-qualification point of view as to how we categorize our suppliers in partnering it in terms of high value, low value, routine items, etc. That is more from engagement of evaluation and acceptance of onboarding. and vendor registration is more from onboarding and assessing the partners before we engage into a real-time execution that is there. After the execution is done, and then we are getting into an order, then post-order management then is done through vendor performance evaluation, and both the vendor assessment and evaluation get carried forward as a score that is later on used for giving a feedback or seeing as to how a partner is performing. Next slide, please. So this is the vendor profiling which I was explaining, which is nothing but categorization and mapping the suppliers with the products and services that we have. Next. This is the vendor profiling in terms of various levels at which we categorize. We have 4 levels in which the products and services are categorized, and that is how we can zero in on 4th level categorization of a partner in terms of profiling. Next. This is the supply relationship management with respect to segmentation based on the spend and the number of partners that we have. We have this kind of a categorization. Next. As an example, it is based on spend analysis, on the product criticality, on the project schedule requirements, the market structure, and the vendor accounts. So on this basis, we categorize the partners. Next. We have for onboarding a partner, we have this platform for registration where vendor information is collected, and this is on invitation basis, and we will be doing it on now on a free basis as we move forward. But as of now, it is on invitation basis. It is collected, and then preliminary data is scrutinized, and then only the next step is done. Next. The next step is on the vendor registration and assessment. Vendor registration has gone a complete revamp in our organization, where we have included now a lot of questionnaires to filter out the right partner, so that they understand our expectations, and we know we are engaging with the right partner, so that whatever product and services we are engaging for will, in the first time, we will be having the right partner to select with. So this is quite an elaborate questionnaire that all partners have to fill in, and based on this, there is a score which is generated both by the supply chain team, the quality team, and the finance team. Next. So what happens is that you get a score which is internal to us, which is based on vendor performance, which is financial performance, which is through an Altman score, which takes care of a lot of parameters from the finance point of view. And then there is an assessment through this questionnaire of 31, and then we combine this into a single score, which is a composite score, which gives us rating to this partner before engagement. Now, this is on the basis of assessment, on the basis of whatever documents and papers and capabilities that have been established on paper. This is just before the engagement. Next. And the minimum requirements which are required for registration is the PAN card, GSTN number, cancelled check, Udyog Aadhaar, or Udyam registration details, and this is how it is done. Can you please click on this written arrow? So similarly, after this, then we issue the purchase order to the selected partner after this process is done, and the post-order management is generally done through the processing done through the project team, who takes over for the project activities that are there in execution. Next is the project evaluation, vendor evaluation. Can you please click on this link? So the vendor evaluation happens through this criteria. We have a 50% weightage on the quality of the product, 40% weightage for the delivery of product, and 10% on the services of the product. And for products and services, it is different. And at the end of the day, what happens is that this is done through SAP's system, and this score has a weightage of 25% when the actual work gets established, and the 75% comes from the previous assessment. The composite score is actually refined to the next engagement, so that the performance of the vendor is also there to see when we engage the next time, so that there is a feedback loop which goes into the system as to how we have partnered and what is the performance in actual execution. Next. Click on the return. Yeah, next slide. So we go through this RFQ document, which consists of the general conditions of contract, supply, special conditions of contract, drawings, data sheets, bill of quantities, our safety requirements, delivery schedule, bank guarantees requirements, LC requirements, and the billing schedules and billing instructions and dispatches. This is what constitutes a RFQ, so that there is a complete clarity on what we want. And the selection of the vendors happens through what is known as the client approval list, like what NTPC was referring, that if I'm an EPC contractor, then the sub-vendor list has to be approved and we have to propose to them, or if that is already there in that contract, then we use that list, or else we have our own list which we have developed over a period of time. The criteria of selection is all these 8 criteria which we use to select, and that registration, evaluation, that assessment that happens in the portal. Next slide, please. As far as procurement that we have done as L&T Power, from last year we have done about 2,389 crores, and if I look at the basket, 2,659 crores, out of which India we have procured almost 2,389, almost about 90% of our sourcing comes from India. Specifically China, then we have 165, and the other countries is 135. If I look at what we did in H1, in spite of the COVID impact, we have not been affected much because we are quite digitally enabled and we can work from home, because all our systems are automated in terms of online systems. There is hardly any paper which moves, and we are able to manage that. So we have been able to do almost 1,400 crores this year, and the composition of sourcing remains the same. Next. As a vendor database, we have about 12,000 odd domestic vendors and 725 international vendors, out of which about 1,900 are MSMED vendors, about which constitute about 18% of our total base of vendors. Yeah, next. In terms of how we source with respect to the MSME and non-MSME, about out of this 1,065 crores that we did in H1, we have done about 34% from non-MSME vendors, and non-MSME is 66%. And if you take the last year, it was about 17% and 83%. As we are going forward, we are doing more with MSME, and that's our aim to go for indigenization and engagement with MSME. Next, please. So on an average, we will have about 25% we will say in terms of value terms. We are engaging with our partners, and this is what are the different categories of items that we source from MSME vendors as part of our project requirement and the revenue requirements. And these are the lists which you can see. Next. So MSME Act has undergone a change from 1st July. So what happens is that with this criteria, the number of vendors who are coming into MSME category increases. So the opportunity for the MSME vendors to come on board and be there part of this also improves, and then all the facilities of MSME as part of our own system in terms of payment terms and handholding automatically comes to these partners of MSME. Next. So in terms of challenges that we have, what we source from outside the country is what we are looking to source from inside the country. And these are some of the items which we have challenges today, which are the future procurement for next half year that we have. These are the titanium plates, wrapper coils, insulators, gypsum dewatering system, borosilicate and power cycle piping, which we are unable to source from India. We have to depend on outside the country. And these are the various projects that we are looking at. And we look at our partners to see whether these items can be developed in India, and we can source this from India. Next. So as part of the public procurement notification of Atmanirbhar, that is from Ministry of Finance, and also from DPIIT, that is the Department for Promotion of Industries and Internal Trade, we are also affected by that, or we are also supposed to follow the guidelines for that. And we are trying to see how much we can be Atmanirbhar on this part based on these guidelines which are applicable to us. And of course, this is more for public procurement tenders that come out from various companies like NTPC and the public utilities, and those get automatically applied to us. And based on this, we are trying to be as much as possible trying to see whether we can engage with our Indian partners and make it in India. Next slide, please. So the challenges effectively while sourcing from India are with respect to delivery and capacity, and those items which are not manufactured in India, and some of the items that are affected because of delivery and capacity are listed there, and which are not manufactured in India. These are the two areas which we are challenged today. and we as an EPC suppliers for boiler, turbine, and balancer plant, we are challenged through an FGD. We are challenged for these products as part of our engagement with our Indian partners. Next. Some of the expectations that we have with the MSMED and also generally with our partners are in terms of information exchange that happens and the status change that happens as part of this MSME. GST and numbers that get changed, contact details that get changed. There is a requirement for bank guarantees and financial capability that we have as part of our registration. We also look at what changes that they do and their augmentation of capacity, and that needs to be updated on a regular basis through the portal. And obviously the price competitiveness and delivery commitments are the challenges that we see in terms of capacity and also delivery schedules that we have. So these are the expectations from our side for mainly the MSME vendors, and going forward, we expect to handhold and see how we can improve them so that we can help ourselves. Next, please. So vendor development initiatives that we have a vendor development cell here. We get into a lot of pre-bid tie-ups now, part of our own engagement, so that there is clear-cut understanding with the partner that yes, if we win, they win, and it's a win-win for both, and that's what makes us successful in getting more orders. We also get into handling with the suppliers, trying to make them understand technical requirements, and we have done this development of a lot of products in India, like the FRP panels for rubber-lined equipment, explosion bonding, the ceramic walls, agitators, so many of these items which we have done, which we try to source from India by technically engaging with our partners and see whether they can develop this jointly. And we do this through co-innovation, going to the suppliers' works, assessing them, and develop the second level suppliers so that the cost and deliveries are met with as per our requirement. And of course, we now extend the bill discounting facility for payments through Centrum and ICICI Bank. Next. So as part of our own development initiative, we also get into sustainability and relevance of the sustainability for the business, for the partners with when we are engaging. Sustainability is more with respect to the business sustainability, the product sustainability, and as part of the sustainability requirements that get published as part of the disclosures that we have to do as part of your annual reports. And this helps in developing a partner and becoming more futuristic as compared to being in the present. So that is what we do. We have an yearly partners meet. If you can just click on this particular link of yearly partners meet. So we have done it in, we call it as Power Ensemble, which was done in 2019, where we have called some critical and selected vendors to Baroda. We have a full day session where we engage with our partners, listening to them, and also sharing with them all our business plans and what our expectations are, and listening to them in an open forum where they share their pains and expectations. And this is a one-day event which is highly anticipated both by us as well as our partners, which we did in 2019. And then next slide, please. And also in 2020, just before the pandemic, and hopefully we will do it in 2021. I hope it is not virtual, it is physical, because physical is what actually makes all the difference. So that's what it is. So please go back on the written slide. Yeah. And we have got what is known as Model Council initiatives. Model Council initiatives are nothing but, if you can click it, it is nothing but I am representing L&T Power, but then there are so many supply chain entities in our ICs of other L&T. So we have a common forum where we are sharing the experiences of supply chain with other entities. So what happens is the visibility of our best practices and our partners get shared with the other ICs and other companies of L&T, and which helps the visibility and access of the partners to the business of L&T as a whole. So even if I do only 2,700 crores at an L&T level, it runs into almost more than a lakh of crores of engagement of sourcing. So if that kind of volume is available across L&T, then the visibility is far higher. So what we do is on these platforms, we are now able to share as experts on supply chain into respective areas and take it forward so that there is a much larger canvas for our partners to engage. And then this also gives helps us in knowing if any partners are having any problems and some other business, and then we can take a corrective action in case anything is to be done. Next slide, please. So this is also, we get into a lot of rate contracts at a panel entity level. These are all the items that we have got into rate contracts with various suppliers. More than, can you go to the next slide, please? So we get into rate contracts, and at L&D, that is at power L&D level. This is at L&D power level. We also buy all these items from these rate contractors, so that there is a surety of supply, and there is a surety of the price at which we do. And this is a constant process of enhancing and updating them every year through our central rate contract system that we have for engagement. Next slide, please. So this is another vendor consolidation portal where all partners of ours at L&D level we will have a visibility of their performance. It's a single window for their cross-referencing. Relative performance of the partners can be seen across all the businesses to L&D. We can do the health checkup of all the partners on this platform, so we know that as to how we want to engage with more and more partners across with the experience of other L&D businesses, so that we also are not deprived of any good partner who is available for taking it forward. Yeah, go back. So that's it from my side, and thank you very much for this opportunity. I hope this was informative. And if you have any questions and you want to get in touch with me or my admin secretary, that is, I have put the email IDs there, srinivas.sirupa@lndpower.com, that's me, and Komunal Nair@lndpower.com. You can reach to us, and we will be more than happy to get back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Srinivas Sirupa, for sharing L&T Power's future procurement plans and explaining the challenges faced by big buyers while finding a local source for imported products. So we will move on to the next speaker from Nordex, Germany. As you know, wind is a clean, renewable energy source and one of the most cost-effective sources for electricity. The cumulative wind power installation in India amounts to around 37.7 gigawatt as of March 2020, which represents roughly around 10% of the total installed power capacity in India. The Germany headquartered Nordex SE is one of the world's largest wind turbine manufacturers today. To explain more on the opportunities in the wind energy sector for Indian suppliers, we have with us Ms. Neelam Pathak, Director Sourcing and Analytics, Nordex. Over to you, Ms. Neelam.
Thank you, Rakesh. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, thank you for the introduction. And as I'm starting exactly at 4:51 India time, I will respect the 15 minutes given to me. So welcome everyone who is there on the webinar, and it was great. Thank you, Rakesh and the IPF team, for giving me this opportunity. Let's go through directly to the next slides, where I'll give a brief introduction of the world wind energy sector. And so as we know, the world energy sector, especially the wind market, and when I'm saying wind market, it is both the onshore turbines and the offshore turbines. For the people who are on the call, onshore is what we put it on the land, and offshore is what we put it on the water or the marine. So the total cumulative business is expected to grow by 2024 at around 160 billion. Now, this was a projection in, when we started from 2017, and we rechecked the projection in 2019, and then the corona came. So whether it impacted, yes, it did. But again, as I said, wind is ready to recover by the Q2 of next year. That by Q2 of 2021, this is the best projection that we have. Now, if I say if 160 billion business worldwide, what does that mean in terms of installations? So that means that last year, that in 2019, the total installation worldwide was around 651 gigawatt, while 63 gigawatt was added only in 2019, which was a record in terms of the supplies. So at today, if you say, while 2020 numbers are yet to come up, But yes, 2019 was a record year for us, for all the wind energy sectors, competitors, and or the partners. Let's go to the next slide, please. This slides give you just a glimpse of who are the major suppliers of the wind turbines. Naturally, Vestas leads with 18 to 20% market share, followed by Gamesa's, Goldwind, and then there are a few Chinese companies out there, and then we are Nordics. Now, this is 2019 numbers, as I said, consolidated. If we say, when I say Nordics, Nordics is like if I remove the China installations, it comes at world number 5 in terms of installations. We have almost 30 gigawatt of installed capacity as on today. As on today, when I said this is 2019 and figures, 2020 numbers will yet to come. Let's go next. I'll give you a brief about Nordics, although Rakesh talked about it. So Nordics as a company is, we are headquartered in Germany. That doesn't mean we are not in India. We are also in India. From last 8 years, we are present in India also. Our corporate office in India is based in Bangalore, and we have a sourcing group also placed in Pune in India. Considering there are more, supplier base in Chennai and Maharashtra, we have sourcing offices put in Pune, in Maharashtra, and also in Chennai in Tamil Nadu. Then we have, as I said, that we are almost presented in all the major markets. The figure that you can see here, all the dark blue is the area where we are presented, naturally mostly in the European region and the American region and South American region, that we are majorly present there, while we are also coming in India. We are already there in India. We have, in fact, 3 factories in India: a nacelle assembly factory, a blade factory, and a tower factory. 2 of them are in Chennai area, while we will be coming up with the newer ones as well. We are almost manufacturing. We have manufacturing locations worldwide in 11 countries or 11 regions that caters to our global requirement as on today. And we have around 30 gigawatt of installed capacity of wind turbines that we have installed worldwide. Now, Nordics is not only one company. There was a merger of another company called Asiona Power. So Nordics and Asiona Power combinedly, we are around a 5 billion euro company that we are as in today. And we have around 1,500 plus supplier partners with us, with whom we work in, and these supplier partners are all from India and all from the other geographic, like global supplier partners that we have. And we are looking for increasing our supply base from India. And as we will go ahead, I'll explain exactly what and where and which areas. Let's go next slide. So earlier I told you what Nordics is, in terms of positioning and capacity installed. But if you see, it's not only that we assemble the turbines, but we do the whole project. So when I say whole project, naturally it starts from the land, then the commissioning, then the assembly of the turbines, then the commissioning of the turbines in the field, then maintaining and the services. And just to tell you, for the people who are not from wind, the service contracts that we take it is more than 25 to 30 years. So it's not that it's just 1 or 2 or 5 years. This is a long-term investments that we look in terms from our supplier partners also. So and now you can imagine that if I have to serve a turbine for next 30 years, 35, 40 years, I need to have the even spare parts availability after so many years. And that's why we surely look to our supplier partners who has this longer term sustainable relationship with us. Let's go to the next slide, please. Now, is it possible to put the slide in a bigger mode, or it's very difficult for me to see the slide? But what I'll do is maybe I'll look from my one. So here through this slide, I really wanted to tell about how is this wind turbine market. And we'll just here I have just put up the major components that goes in turbine, and they are at very, very high level. So it's like blade, bearings, gearbox, controls, that's electrical component, generators, castings, and towers. Now, through this, I really actually wanted to tell that what kind of market and what kind of entry barriers, especially for the supplier partners who would be looking to have a supplies. It's very, very important. This is a kind of global supply chain I'm trying to project, because this is how the wind turbine market works in. If you say the blade is very, very highly concentrated market, and most of the OEMs either they have a one major partner, supplier partner, or they prefer to do themselves. So that's the kind of market it is in there in the blade, which accounts for 10% of the 10 to 15% of the cost of a turbine. Then comes to bearing. Again, bearing is a very, very highly concentrated market. If you see, especially from the OEM side, and there are very, very few players here. And in fact, as an OEM, we try to fill the capacity, or at least avoid the shortages, because these are the only few OEMs of the bearings who are supplying to all the wind turbine OEMs. So this is a very, very highly concentrated markets again. Looking into the gearbox, yes, for the higher range of turbines, higher megawatt turbines, we have few suppliers. In fact, very few, two to three I'll name. While when it comes to lower range of the turbine, lower megawatt capacity rating, we have many. So again, it is a concentrated market, but OEM, and that is where the turbine OEMs, they have an outsource of this gearbox, and generally there are some major players here like Winergy and others, and they are open to the reliable suppliers, because it's very, very important from the functional point of view of the turbine. Controls or electricals, I'll say all electricals and generators. Again, controls are a very, very highly concentrated market, and mainly from the region of perspective that many of the components of this are imported right now. And that is where a lot of imports comes, and what happened is most of the OEMs of the turbines, they prefer to have it in-house assemblies of those. While when it comes to generators, it's a fragmented outsourcing kind of market. That means there are qualified suppliers here. And but for the larger turbine ratings, if you see India now, I mean, 2 megawatt turbines, there are 3 megawatt turbines, but still, the megawatt, the 4 or 5 megawatt turbines are still not come, I'll say. While in the outside region, like outside India, there are in Europe and in USA, there are turbines with 5 megawatts and 6 megawatts installed. So from India supplier perspective, what it really becomes difficult for us to get suppliers for supplying these parts for a higher megawatt turbines. And that is one of the challenge, and we are surely looking for having development of the supplier base for these higher megawatt turbines. Casting is today, if you'll see, China, and when I'm saying castings here, I'm talking of large castings of the box size almost 5 meters 7 by 7 meters by 8 meters. That means those type of castings, getting a supplier in India is a challenge for us. And when I say us, I'm representing the OEM wind turbine suppliers here. And that is why there is a huge dependency on China out here. While we surely want the government and we want the suppliers to create this kind of facilities for us, because surely we wanted to have a more localization in this for having the assemblies, and also create a global sourcing hub from India. That is the whole point of view. And then again, towers, as I said, it's more of fragmented outsource. So basically the crux of this whole slides are that there are many components here which from supply base, there are opportunities for India supplier partners. And with the help of government, government providing the infrastructure and suppliers coming in together, and we as an OEM coming in together, it is possible, and it is important to create that kind of supply sources. Because can we go to the next slide? Because actually world is looking to India, and this is what I wanted to put in. World is looking to India to supply, and I am talking from the wind turbine, and I know even the other sectors for this is true. World is looking to India to become a global supply source. Considering the issues that COVID brought with, with China, all eyes are set to India. And this is just one of the report from Wood Magazine, which tells that actually after China and USA, India is ranks third in the capacity creation. So we have the capacity, we have the potential to create the capacity for the wind turbine, this thing, because first of all, naturally, we know we have a labor cost advantage for our country. There are components capacities coming up, and there is a possibility of scalability to increase. The ramp ups can be done. Uh, and naturally, we know India is an innovation hub, and how to produce even complex things with a lower cost, with our local innovation is what we are good into it. There are in fact, there was last month there was a summit by our renewable energy sector ministry, where they really have said that they are supporting, they want to support and create, and in fact they have this invest India concept where they wanted to promote, and they are looking to OEMs of the wind turbines and renewable energy sectors, both solar and wind, to come up and set up the factories and manufacturing hubs in India. So that's really a very encouragement. And now government launching Atmanirbhar, and as I said, the other discussions that's been happening with the government sectors is very, very, really very encouraging for the manufacturers like us, who are really looking to have a global supply base from India. And actually, if you'll see some of the major players that I have mentioned into the wind turbine markets, whether it is Vestas, Gamesas, or Nordics, they have all have come to India. So that shows that we are on the right path. And surely we would like to encourage, we would like to see. Sorry guys, there is this thing happening in Pune. There is a lot of thunderstorm going on. But yes, this is what we are looking from India. So we as an India have the capacity, and world is looking towards us to create this supply source from India. Can we go to the next slide? And maybe that would be my last slide. Uh, so what exactly we as an OEM of wind turbine are expecting from our suppliers? Naturally, I have seen in somebody's else slides that right time, right quality, right product, right price. It's same for all the sector, whether we talk about automobile, we talk about power sector. So even it's true for wind turbine sectors as well. I have talked about the spares, the kind of spares commitment we look from our our partners. We have to provide services of our turbines for around 30 years, 35 years. So definitely we are looking for a partnership with our suppliers, a long-term sustainable partnership, and not only a short-term supply. So that's the ask. And whenever we do a contract for production supplies or a spare parts supply, that's a very, very, very important ask from our supplier partners. Naturally, when it comes to a longer time contract, longer time support, we also look for contracting, very clear contracting with competitive and sustainable pricing into this. Because as I said, that India, and especially if I'm looking to India suppliers, there's a huge competition in the world supplies with China suppliers as well. So surely we look for our India supplier partners to have a longer term contracting with sustainable pricing and competitive pricing. Localization, we are definitely looking up with the partners who are ready to have their facilities in India, and especially in the area of castings and electrical, because as I said, we have a heavy dependency for these categories with with other markets so like China's and Vietnam and all others. And we definitely wanted to create a sourcing base here. Supply capacity creation, long-term contract and commitment is what I have already told, and naturally a supply. Now, below is what I had just shown a graph is that yes, we were also impacted with the coronavirus and our whole global supply chain was impacted because as I said, that wind sector for around, if I say the capacity, especially for the casting, electricals and some capacity, there is a heavy dependency on China. So with the whole COVID coming from China and there was a supply, I'll say, pipeline choking that has happened and it impacted our sector as well. But as the operations moved up there and now the people are also looking for alternates, other source like India, and so it's going up, and this is a very very I'll say a good opportunity and best time for our India supplier partners to really come and partner and help us to create a global supply chain from India. Thank you very much. This is all I have to say. So if
Thank you, Mrs.
anyone of
Yeah.
anyone of you would like to connect, you can connect on this through LinkedIn or maybe you can ask Rakesh for my email.
Thank you, Ms. Neelam, for sharing an excellent presentation on wind turbine component supply chain and how India can become a sourcing hub for wind energy. So our last speaker is from Vizag Steel. As you know, Rashtriya Ispat Nigam, as it's widely known, is a Navratna public sector undertaking under the Ministry of Steel. It is the first shore-based integrated steel plant in the country and its market leader in long products catering to the needs of diverse industry sectors. I would now like to request Mr. O.V. Kishore, Deputy GM, Rashtriya Ispat Nigam, to enlighten the audience about Vizag Steel's procurement policies and its plans to reduce imports by increasing sourcing from local manufacturers. Over to you, Mr. Kishore. Hello, Mr. Kishore, you are. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah. You are able to hear, Nazar?
Yeah. Please start your presentation.
Yeah. Thank you. It's delayed, but okay. Thank you very much for giving the opportunity to portray Visakhapatnam Steel Plant and our policies. As you said, it's the first shore-based steel plant in India. Okay. Our financials, I think 1920, we have done about 15,860 crores of turnover, where our production, procurement is about 12,889 crores. Next slide, sir. Next slide, please. Next slide. And in this present year, till September, about 7,000 crores sales we have done, and about 3,624 crores of purchases we have made. I will give a brief thing about our materials management. What does it? Procurement of all materials required for Vizag Steel Plant, all activities, including tendering, inspection, dispatch, and storage, and issues. Issues means issuing to the next required departments. Items procured: indigenous and imported raw materials, spares, oils, lubricants, mechanical spares, electrical spares, consumables, chemicals, refractories. It's a big spectrum of items are there which we are going to procure. Next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is all our speakers have told. This is the right quality, right quantity, right time, right source, at right price, because it's the main motto of the materials management of any organization. Next, sir. So consists of department, consists of purchase, vendor development, transport, shipping, stores, and receipt inspection, sir. I'll explain about the details in next slide. Okay, purchase. We are going. Procuring in this type of this thing. One is e-procurement. Now, right at present, e-procurement we are doing with SRM portal, srm.visakhsteel.com, and major types of tenderings are open tender for certain items and limited tenders through SRM portal, and single and proprietary tenders for proprietary items. Next slide. The procurement process starts here, receipt of purchase requisition from our works department, then issue of RFX or tender, then receipt of tenders, then opening of tenders, and evaluation of the tenders on technical and commercial basis, conducting the reverse auction and placing. And in between this, if a reverse auction, if the prices are reasonable as per our estimation, then we will go directly to the placement of order on L1 purchase. If it is not, then we will be negotiating with the L1 tenderer. Then receipt of accept of materials at stores, then approving the suppliers invoice payment, and then it issuing to the suppliers. Next slide, sir. Various goods are procured: iron ore, dolomite, and these are the indigenous raw materials which are tabulated here. We will be sharing the presentation whoever is required. So I am skipping the presentation. Various goods procured. These are all the refractory items, spares and consumables. Next slide. These are ferroalloys which are used in steel making, slag and petroleum oil glasses, mechanical spares such as abrasives, steel items, conveyor belts, idlers, casting springs, electrical spares, and stationery. Sir, Rakesh sir, I request you to share this presentation so that they can know the items. Okay. Next slide.
We will do.
Okay. Next slide. Imported spares. Imported spares like copper pairs, tungsten carbide tips, and copper plates. So in this regard, I would like to appreciate, I would like to tell you one thing. We have also identified 78 items, import substitution items, and drawings. That drawings are posted in our visakhsteel.com website. Anybody, any audience who are interested in supplying these items or developing these items based on the drawings, they can directly contact us. The details are in the visakhsteel.com website portal. Okay, so MSCs can come forward and they can know the details. Then coming to this annual procurement values, last year 18-19 we have procured about 17,000 crores, and in 19-20 12,889, and in this year 3,624 crores till September. So these are the imported space, the detailed total procurement excluding R&M and imported space are this much. And micro and small scale industries procurement, 18-19 it was 447 crores, and in 19-20 it is 504 crores. But due to Corona, all these things that has been come down. For the first quarter, first 6 months, we could only procure about 88 crores. Next slide. So the details of the works contracts and personal administration contract, matter service, these are the service contracts. So any small scale industries, small scale service sector people, they can concentrate on this and they can know the details from our visakhsteel.com website. These are the works contracts, means small repair maintenance contracts will be there, so that they can last year 19-20 441 crores of services, works contract services we have done, and in that one 216 is from micro and small scale industries, and in this year 227 and 124 crores is from small scale industries. Personal administration contracts are something like that: sweeping contract, cleaning contracts, so afforestation contracts. These are all the things included. Marketing services are mainly the contracts which are we are rendering in the steel market years. Next. So that's what I have already explained. Personal administration concerns into administrative contracts. This already I explained. Next slide, you can please. So now coming to the vendor development cell, there is a vendor development, a separate cell is there to cater the need of sellers. So mainly we are enlisting the supplier on online application based, direct application. You can go to our Vizag Steel website, vizagsteel.com. There's a menu driven program that I will be explaining in the later slides. Second is trial route. So for certain items, refractory items, free and paid trials route are being done here. So that is the trial route. Vendors that are not enlisted in RINL but respond to open and global tenders. Some people will be directly participating in the open and global tender. Those details we will be taking, and again we are processing the application and enlisting them. So unenlisted vendor after successful performance in the tenders. These are also similar to that one. We are not leaving any chance. I mean, who are participating in the global and open tenders. Those tenders details will be taking, and we'll be processing for enlisting of them. So these are all the applications will be processed, and there is a committee, vendor registration committee. They will be processing the applications. So vendor evaluation is one more for us. Every year we will be evaluating the vendor ratings, and then based on their points, we will be awarding them A class, A, B, C certification, and we will be informing them. So organizing, attending the vendor development program, structured meetings with local and along with DSC, District Corporation, ensuring the compliance of initiating policies by the Government of India of CPSCs. Whatever the policies made by the Government of India, they are all being implemented in Visakhapatnam Steel Plant, and we are adhering to the policies. These are all the online vendor registration process. Is a menu-driven program. You can just go through this one. Last slide is our team of vendor development team slide will be there. You can note down that one, and whoever is having any doubt, you can come back, sir. These are all the vendor development. Vendor registration process. This is the okay. This is the screens one by one we have put up here. Whoever is going to register in that one, the slides will be appearing one by one. Next slide. So you have to accept this, then the main menu will come. These are the details where you have to feed all the details, the required documents. Next. They are the normal required documents for any registration. These are attachments. It will be asking once you attach this one. These are the checklist of the documents: vendor registration, PAN, GST, partnership deed, memorandum of agreement. These are the documents which in the website it will be asking. You have to upload all these documents. Next slide. These are the checklist of the documents for vendor registration which are portrayed in the website. Mainly the purchase order copies and the performance copies are the must. Remaining documents will be taking up with the supplier in case of any difficulties. These are the startups. This is also as per the ministry directives. There is a policy for startup companies. They have to give one certificate. Based on that, we will be evaluating the application and we will be enlisting the startup company. Such as elections, such as period to turnover, period to experience also, we will be considering these applications under the startup scheme. Next slide. So as on date, we have vendor base of 3,722 vendors, out of which back. Out of which 1,776 small scale industries are there, MSCs, and local, which are local means 100 to 200 kilometers range within Visakhapatnam, they are 214, and SC/ST owned MSCs are 6, and women enterprises are 60. So the recent developments of MSME Act, we have to identify SC/ST enterprises and as well as women enterprises who has to fulfill the 4% of the total agreed procurement details with the MSME. So material groups which new vendors are required, where we have very minimum vendor base, thin vendor base is there. For this one, automobile tires and spares, bearings, chemicals and conveyor belts, electrical equipments, lamps and light fitting, photovoltaic modules. These are the items where we have very less number of vendors. So people who are watching this one, they can concentrate on this these groups, so that we can improve the competition. Vendor development programs organized by RNL. So interactive sections with GEM. You may please note that government e-marketing is the government this year. We have gone with GEM registration from RNL side. We are requesting all the suppliers to enlist in the GEM portal. But because near future the requirement will be fulfilled through GEM only. So government is concentrating very much on GEM portal, government e-marketing. So we are requesting all the suppliers to enlist in GEM and register their products in GEM, so that not only in VSP, all public sector industry undertakings have to go for their procurement through GEM only in near future, 100%. So I request all the listeners who are listening to this seminar, they try to enlist in GEM and their products, so that some problems are there where new products are there, they have to give the drawing to the GEM authorities and then they will be enlisting them. So second one is TREDS, TREDS. This is a very good initiative by Government of India. All the MSCs can register in this TREDS with free of cost. Earlier there was some nominal 5,000 to 10,000 rupees amount they were collecting, but now government has given this facility at free of cost. So bankers will not charge, TREDS platform will not charge any amount from MSCs, so they can make use of this one and TREDS. And it was told to us that platform the discounting will not go more than 8% per annum, and they can take the amounts in the next 2-3 days. And as per the procedure, within 45 days, company will be RNL will pay to the banker. This is a very good initiative of Government of India, and all the MSCs who are listening to this one, make use of this one, because it is free of cost right now till March. I think till March it is there free of cost. You have please enlist whether you require or not, so that it is free of cost. Right. State level vendor development was organized by RNL in association with branch MSMEDA and VDL in 2019, and a lot more. In Pan India also we have participated in so many vendor development programs. Even recently, next slide, sir. Next slide. In the month of February, 2 state level vendor development programs, and in the month of March also we have done some program with local SC/ST associations and DICKI, so that so more people can be enlisted and take business from RNL, so that 4% target also can be fulfilled. Okay, we have explained them the marketing service and works contracts and PA contracts, and so that they can concentrate on that also. Due to pandemic situation, post-March, we could not organize such programs, but in September a webinar was conducted, and most of the, more than 50 to 60 people have attended this program. Next day. So this focus on MSC sectors, Visakhapatnam Steel Plant has always encouraged the growth of development of MSC sector for mutual benefit. There are a lot many opportunities and active entrepreneurs in the micro small scale industries and local industry, especially. Next slide. Especially action to local and small scale industries. As per the MSME Act, presently purchase preference and payment terms are being strictly implemented in Visakhapatnam Steel Plant, especially for local industries. We are giving it on 21st day. payments are being released for local MSCs on 21st day. As per the MSME Act, it is to be released within 45 days. But local industries, we are giving it 21 days. Okay, and this a procurement limit for local industries 20 to 20. Earlier it was 20 lakhs. Now we have made it at 50 lakhs. 50 lakhs of spares and consumables. Any tender will be floated within for local who are situated in and around Visakhapatnam. That I told na 214 suppliers. So with a condition that minimum 5 local MSCs are available in the tender. Okay, for to build the competition. Next slide. Next slide. So as per the purchase preference policy, we have to procure minimum 25% of the procurement from MSCs out of total procurement. So in 1920, about 32% of the target we have fulfilled against 25%. In 2021, it is about 24%, even though there is a pandemic situation. So fulfillment of 4% and 3% out of 25%, 25%, that is SCST and women enterprises respectively, as a part of purchase preference policy. In 2021, we could not get anything from SCSTs, but from women enterprise about 1.7% we could fulfill, and we are continuously striving to enlist mainly on SCSTs and women enterprises, so that target what specified will be fulfilled. Next. So this is the what efforts VSP is putting to identifying the SCST, MSCs and women enterprises for registration of this. So we have sought a DIC, MSME, DI and DIC and all others to give the details of the SCST entrepreneurs, so that we can enlist them directly. And whoever already enlisted in VSP, they might not be quoting that they are SCST enterprise. So we have sent all the mails to them to identify themselves as SCST and women enterprises. So we have participated in NVDP, especially SCST MSCs organized by Dicky Vizag, and Pan India also we have participated in Tirupati, Guwahati, and NSAC, all these things. And our appeal is any person is actively participating in this one. Any SCST enterprises are there, they are free to contact us, so that we'll be processing them in a speed channel, so that the enlistment can be done in a faster way. Okay, MSME Sambandh portal is madam also told in NTPC. So Sambandh portal is targets envisaged by the, agreed by respective PSUs will be uploaded in the portal, and you can see MSME Sambandh portal. All the public sector undertakings will be uploading their targets and fulfillments also. So we have also fulfilled, uploaded our targets and fulfillments. Next slide. This Samadhan portal is any grievances of small scale industries, they can straight away upload in the Samadhan portal, which will be reviewed by MSME and addressed by the respective PSUs immediately. As on date, so whatever uploaded Samadhan portal, so we have as on date we have already given the details and status of the grievances are there in the Samadhan. So this is the government e-marketing the GEM portal. We have already enlisted in GEM portal, and about Government of India has already explained you. Government is emphasizing mandatory for procuring all the materials in GEM portal. In the near future, we have to shift to GEM 100%. So we are putting all our efforts and requesting all our customer base to register in the GEM portal. Next please. So till date, we have 305 vendors have been registered in the GEM portal, and in 2021, about 2.46 crores of worth of material have been procured, and last year about 1 crore only we have procured. This TREDS I have already explained you. This is free of cost. Next slide. So as on date, 28 MSCs have been enlisted and onboarded and test platform, and about 21 crores worth of bills have been discounted. Atmanirbhar Bharat and government GOI initiatives for MSCs have been 100% we have fulfilled in RINL, and whatever extension, delivery extensions are to be given considering this pandemic situation, and tenders, 200 crores tenders, whatever is there, that's all we have been implemented successfully in RINL VSP. And recently, this classification of small scale and medium scale and service sectors have been changed. Accordingly, accordingly, the earlier speaker also told that to submit that what is that form? Udyam Aadhar. So Udyam Aadhar also we have informed all our suppliers. So submit the Udyam Aadhar before 31st March, 31st March of next year. So as per the government GOI guidelines only. So new definition for small scale industries are detailed here, 1 crore, and earlier there was no turnover criteria. Now it has been considered for turnover also. So it used to be small, micro small means 1 crore plant and machinery, and turnover should be less than 5 crores. And for small scale industries, plant and machinery can be less than 10 crores, and turnover should be less than 50 crores. And medium, it is 50 and 250 crores. So this, I think everybody will be knowing this one, but for clarification purpose, this slide we have kept. People who are interested, they may note down and they can apply for Udyam Aadhar and submit this one before the 31st March. Till 31st March, existing Udyog Aadhar, whatever certificates are issued, NSIC, or will be valid. So Udyam registration portal details we have detailed here. People who are interested, they may note down. And EM Part 2 and Udyam shall be, again we have to register. So that is open up to 31/3/21. Next slide. This is a championship portal which all the details will be available here also. Next. So as far as MSMEs is concerned, we are requested to develop ecosystem and zero defects and focus on quality. So the quality is the main criteria for any industry. So we request all the small scale industries, mainly this is for small scale industries, concentrate on zero defects and quality, so that we can improve the business. And participation. Okay, these are the contact details of ours. You can take the screenshot so that for any information you can contact these numbers and emails. Next.
Thank you, Mr. Kishore,
Yes,
for
sir,
giving details about the steps taken by Vizag Steel to increase procurement for MSMEs from MSMEs, and sharing tips for how MSMEs can be a partner of Vizag Steel as they progress ahead. With this, we come to an end of the second edition of Buyer Seller Summit. I hope you had a wonderful time. I would like to thank all our eminent panelists for their time and informative presentation. Before we close for the day, we would like to inform our readers about IPF's 49th annual issue, the Blockbuster, which will be launched in January 2021. Also, do not forget to subscribe IPF. In case you have any requirement query, please reach out to us on the addresses, next slide, yeah, on the addresses given on your screen, or simply visit our website, that is ipfonline.com. Once again, thank you all for being part of this second IPF Buyer Seller Summit. See you soon next time. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy.